Existentialism proved to be an engaging concept a decade or two into my adulthood. Existentialism isn't usually defined as a religion in the traditional sense. There aren't existential houses of worship or rituals or hierarchy. It's more of a vague philosophy discussing human existence. Jean-Paul Sartre was one of many philosophers who emerged as a result of the atrocities in Europe from the 1930s to the end of World War II. Viktor Frankl and Kurt Lewin were two others I've studied. Again, as a curious layperson, I found Jean-Paul Sartre to be the most interesting, quickly admitting my understanding of philosophy is superficial at best. Sartre stated that
man is condemned to be free, because once thrown into the world, he is responsible for everything he does. Every existing thing is born without reason, prolongs itself out of weakness, and dies by chance. And man is fully responsible for his nature and his choices.
Distilled in my own terms, we all exist along a continuum, a bell-shaped distribution of behaviors. One tail is populated with individuals who fit best within whatever social system they reside. The opposing tail are the misfits of society. And the greater amplitude, the bell, is where the rest of us find ourselves. Not too good and not too bad. Our social environment defines what is good and bad, or right and wrong. Kurt Lewin's equation that behavior is a function of the person in their environment implies to me that every type of behavior, including what many may find the most heinous at one end or virtuous at the other extreme, are acceptable within the boundaries of community standards. Kurt Lewin provides,
many social habits are anchored in the relation between the individuals and certain group standards. If the individual should try to diverge too much from group standards, he would find himself in increasing difficulties. He would be ridiculed, treated severely, and, finally, ousted from the group. Most individuals, therefore, stay pretty close to the standard of the groups they belong to or wish to belong to.
I assumed religion was a crutch relied upon by those either unable or unwilling to accept evolving science over oppressive canons of millennia past. Religion works for those attracted to congregation, sacred imagery, and strength from external sources. It must only be the unsophisticated who accept the gospel of any organized religion or spiritual philosophy preaching intelligent design over science and evolution. But how can that be? Arguably, most of the greatest historically recognized minds, typically determined by male authors of European heritage, were at least moderately religious, with many considering themselves devout. Boyle, Lavoisier, and Faraday are just a few. Bruno of the Dominican Order of the Catholic Church was burned at the stake during the Inquisition for his advocacy of Copernican ideology. And one who is often considered the highest intellect of them all, Isaac Newton, was a passionate Protestant. Heisenberg, a Lutheran, was the first to identify quantum physics. And then there's Einstein, who proclaimed himself a pantheist, believing that God had more important work to do than be concerned about individual humans. The Nobel laureate in physics, Max Planck, offers,
science cannot solve the ultimate mystery of nature. And that is because, in the last analysis, we ourselves are a part of the mystery that we are trying to solve. As a man who has devoted his whole life to the most clear-headed science, to the study of matter, I can tell you, as a result of my research about atoms, this much. There is no matter as such. All matter originates and exists only by virtue of a force which brings the particle of an atom to vibration and holds this most minute solar system of the atom together. We must assume behind this force the existence of a conscious and intelligent mind. This mind is the matrix of all matter.
Over my many years at Regis University, it's been clearly evident to me that my colleagues are both intellectual and religious. Jesuits I've engaged in dialogue are unflappable when debating virtually any topic. We are all products of our nature and nurture, and maybe indoctrination during our formative years has some resilient impact on how and what we believe. Already admitting that I'm neither a theologist or physicist, I can add that I'm neither a trained psychologist nor sociologist. So why am I in the minority of those questioning the existence of God? How can billions of individuals hold dear to religious belief while less than 10% of the world population subscribe to atheism and agnosticism, and another 5% claim to be unaffiliated with any organized religion? About 70% identify with Christianity, Islam, or Hinduism. If 5.5 billion individuals believe in monotheism, why does an intelligent superpower just not make sense to me? Why doesn't an intelligent superpower embed all his children with belief? If God creates all things, then how was God created? And if God has always been, then why couldn't the universe always have been?